What is up, guys? Pie Muffin here, and we are back with another Tales of the Rays video, and probably one of my last videos on Tales of the Rays. So, as you can see in front of you, we are officially now in the offline version. So, transferring to the offline version is not as complicated as I originally thought it was going to be. I originally thought by how they were wording it that it was going to be its own separate app. Like, I thought, okay, you make sure your account is linked, you link your account on the new app, and then you just have to download everything again. But no, if you have the app installed, it's as simple as just, it was a normal update. Obviously, at some point, they're going to remove it from the Apple and Google Play stores, but until that happens, you can download the game at any point you want, download all the data, and then obviously it'll ask for your account when you want to sign in. But if you were already playing the game, all you gotta do is it's like a normal update, you just update the game. It is kind of funny how they keep, you know, what your max AP was, you know, your gold, diamond, and prism count. Obviously the mirror gem count is gone. I only had 10 mirror gems left anyway. But as you can see, in the offline version, it's obviously very limited what we can do. There's no news. There's no... You can look at what your card last looked like, but you can no longer change it. You are no longer able to change anything in here, so whatever you have in here is what it is, as long as for the rest of the time that you have the game. You can obviously look at your mirage collection, all your mirage arts and everything, right here. This is how you look at all the biography information for all the characters. And then down here is how the only way to actually do gameplay anymore. It's basically the dojo, but it's different now. It has your 8 teams, you know, whatever you have set up. You can set up a team of whatever you want and then go into battle. So let's go ahead and just show how this looks real quick. So you immediately dive into that. And it immediately will start a fight against a generic enemy. However, once you go in here, you can now change all the settings of all the different stuff that you want to do. Now, obviously, I haven't gone through everything, but obviously this is like if you want to have infinite CC, if you want to have maxed out mirage gauge, how you want your health to look like, and then as well as the HP of the enemy, and you can set up to 6 enemies to be fighting here in the dojo itself. So like if I wanted to choose just, you know, a random enemy, I go ahead and click this, I click that, then I click this, it'll reset the fight against whatever enemy I chose. So there you go, we're fighting games. What you can also do, if you go over to the start tab, I don't know what all the tabs do yet. I haven't clicked through everything, so it's just trial and error, just mess with it and see what happens. But these are also all the different stages that you can go to. So like I do this, I reset it again. It also puts the correct music for that stage. Okay, we're on the stage in Hysteria. So you can set up fights that you want to do there. And then once you actually kill the enemy that you're fighting, it'll immediately bring you back here and you can change the settings again if you want to fight it again. Obviously the thing at the top, this first enemy, this double S enemy, is the best thing if you're trying to practice combos and stuff, because it has 999,909 It'll die when you're pretty much going to hit the cap of the damage you can do in the game. So as you can see, if I just leave it on auto, everyone's just going to, you know, whoop on this guy as much as possible. Other than that, though, like, I don't know what this does, for example. Like, if I click this, what happens? Oh, okay, so that's how you switch to recollection mode. So if you want to play recollection style fight, you do it this way. Okay. So that's what that's for. That's for recollection. Obviously, this is all mirage gauge and stuff like that. All this is pretty self-explanatory. Not sure what this does. Switching that. See what that does. It might just be, that setting might actually just be having the enemies not move. And then obviously the third tab is all of that. And then the fourth tab, I assume, also has to do with changing what the characters kind of do, or the boss does, rather. So that's pretty much what you can do here. That's for the offline mode. That's your gameplay. There is another thing of gameplay we are actually able to do, but I'll go over that here in a second when we get to that menu. So yeah, so in terms of just genuinely playing, if you want to fight against whatever enemies, you know, it has all the different bosses and enemies that we've fought throughout the game. So that's definitely something that you can do. Now, of course, you can no longer enhance anything. Obviously, you have all your characters, all that stuff. They have whatever power they had when the game ended is what they will have. And then, of course, you are able to change what gear you have on them and whatnot like that. And of course, you can look at all the stuff down here. I don't know if you can change the tower. I doubt you can change their tower thing. Maybe when you beat the tower, it lets you change stuff, but for the most part, everything here is pretty much set in stone. There's no more leveling, because you no longer have items or accessories or any of that stuff in the game. So that's pretty much it for the dojo portion. Let's go ahead and look at the room. That's what I'm pretty much going to do for this video, just go through everything. For the room, you can pretty much set up everything you want to set. You obviously go in here like you always would to look at all your different stuff, like your different music and stuff like that. But yeah, so obviously you can set whatever characters you want to have in the room, just like you always would. All that same stuff is still here. Obviously you can't visit other people's rooms or anything like that, but that's pretty much everything. You can't look at anything here, and that's pretty much all of that. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory that this mode is not, it's not a huge gameplay thing. It's really meant as like every once in a while I can boot up the game as long as I still have it on my phone and play with the characters that I collected over the years, you know, stuff like that. So let's go over the last few menus. So, there is a new story. They have a 10-part story here. Obviously, if you don't read Japanese, this probably won't mean a lot to you unless you have, like I do, like a translation app that kind of overlays on top of your phone while I'm reading it. So there are 10 story parts here, and I will do a slight spoiler thing. I know how everything ends here, so if you don't want to be spoiled on the story, you're going to read it yourself, click off the video now before I start talking about it. Okay, we're going to start talking about it now. So, at basically how the story ends, you get to choose, basically, either characters will get to go home in lore in the story. Characters either get to choose to go home to their original world and live out the rest of their life there, or they can spend the rest of their life in Tir Nanog or the Ark, and just live out the good life that they have here. Because obviously there'll be some characters who don't have a very beneficial ending to their story. You know, like a lot of the villains in Tales games die at the end of the game. So the villains we have in this game, you know, like Mythos, Artorias, all those characters are, well, actually, I think we killed Artorias in Rays, but so characters like Mythos, Alexei, Duke, you know, characters like that who, well, Duke didn't die in his original game, but obviously it wasn't a very fun ending regardless. So basically any characters who may have not had a lovely ending can choose to stay in this world and just live out their life here. But you get to choose, it doesn't affect anything. I saw a lot of people worried that, you know, they got to the end and they were like, oh, if I send the characters back to their own world, does that mean they disappear from my account? No, it's just a story option. It's just, they wanted to give players the freedom of choice instead of choosing for them. Because they very well could have just done the usual thing where story comes to an end, all the legacy characters from the different Tales games, besides like Ixamelina and the Rays crew, go back to their original world, and they forget everything that happened here. But thankfully, they give you a choice, so you can either send them home, and they'll live out their life and realistically not remember what happened here, or they can just stay here and live out the life that they've had here, because obviously you have a lot of characters who have grown fond of Ixamelina, and they just want to see, You know, because obviously they're just nexuses of the original versions of these characters. So, like, Yuri Lowell in this world, there's still a Yuri Lowell back in the original world. So the Yuri Lowell in this world doesn't need to worry about going back and fixing the issues that happened in his world, because there's already a Yuri Lowell back there doing it. So it's much more beneficial for him to just leave that behind and then stay here. And that's the case for a lot of characters. But some characters may be like, well, you know, this person never made it into this world, so I want to go home and be with them. Or maybe there are characters who just, like, didn't want to have this happy life. You know, maybe their goals in the original games were very important to them, so they wanted to do that. So yeah, basically at the end, you'll have a list of the full roster of characters, and you get to choose which ones get to stay and which ones go. Okay, so we have one final tower that they implemented. So obviously you can run this tower as many times as you want. You won't get any books or anything, but you do get one more tower. And I have heard that this is a much more difficult tower than what we are used to. I believe this is just a normal tower. I don't think it's a hard mode one. So I don't believe it's you only get to use one set, but who knows at this point. But yeah, so the two gameplay modes are basically just tower, and then obviously you can train in the dojo against whatever enemies you want to fight. Obviously, I feel like the tower is what people are going to want to do the most, because you actually get the most gameplay value out of it. Because obviously in the room, you kind of are just overpowered beating up on enemies. Obviously, you could set a bunch of boss enemies to really, like, give yourself a challenge in the room, but I feel like this is obviously a way to make use of your entire account at once. This menu is obviously if you want to look at your collection of badges. So you just click this up. Oh, I had it filtered for Rebirth. So you basically get to look at all your co-op badges that you have attained over the years of it being around. So you can just go ahead and view those. And then lastly, besides, you can, I don't know what happened to my voice there, it just disappeared on me. You can take a look at, you know, all the story you've unlocked for Recollection. Obviously, you can't play anymore, but anything you've unlocked up to the point of Shutdown, you can look at. Obviously, I don't have much of this myself, because Recollection was just too grindy for my taste. So I don't really have that. But obviously, if you grind it out a lot, you can always review the stories there. And then this is obviously the last menu you can look at. Obviously, you can unsync your account if you want to. I don't know why you'd want to, but... so, obviously, let's say you downloaded this now, and you're worried like, oh, I'm going to be getting a new phone in 2 months. Can I still have this account? Yes, you still can. The cutoff point is like, it's like October 16th or something. It's sometime in October. So as long as you, whatever device you have it on, when October whatever hits and they no longer have this service, that is the device it will stay on until either the operating system of your phone doesn't support it anymore, or you just have to get a new phone for whatever reason. That's why I'm kind of thinking of getting, before October, getting a new phone, so that way Raze can stay on my phone for at least a handful of years. But obviously no one, unless you just like keep your old phone forever, most people are at some point going to lose their Raze account, which is unfortunate. It would be nice if there was always just a way to re-download it and redo everything, but like I said before, once the operating systems get too more advanced here in a few years, obviously the game won't run anymore, so it is unfortunate as it is. But obviously you've got all this other stuff here. Obviously over here is how you view all the skits and stuff like that. You can even watch the Everlasting Destiny thing over here, which is pretty cool. So you've got all that kind of stuff right there. And then of course this is your profile you can look at again over here. But other than that, that's pretty much everything you can do in the offline version of Raze. And of course, who you want to set on your title screen like here, like I have Sheena and Claw over here, is obviously just whoever you have set in your room. It'll show those 4 characters. But yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much everything to go over with the offline version of Tales of the Raze. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. It's very sad to see the game go, but it did have a good run. It got to finish its story, and it ended off on a high note. I see a lot of people saying, you know, obviously people who didn't play Raze are like, oh, thank God, no more mobile games. But honestly, this is the first time since 2014 that Tales does not have an ongoing piece of content that feeds the fans while we're waiting for something new. Obviously, there's that leak going around that apparently there's a Tales of Xillia remaster that's going to come out. I don't know if it's true or not. We'll find out, obviously, if it happens or not. But realistically, even if it is true, it's still like, okay, that game's going to come out. Most people have played it. You know, they play it again. And then we'll be back to square one where there's no content. So I do think having a Tales mobile game, especially a Tales mobile game where the developers truly care about giving the players what they want, which is what Raze always strive to do, I feel like is very important. We were always supplied with monthly artwork of our favorite characters. You know, even if you were someone who didn't play Raze, you would still be happy to see that artwork. It's like, oh, okay, cool, these characters are getting this. So I do hope at some point Tales does another mobile game in the same vein as Raze in terms of like how much care gets put into it. Obviously, I don't want another mobile game that's just going to shut down in 6 months. But if they can do Raze, you know, a successor to Raze in the correct way, you know, get another 7 years of another mobile game, I'd be very, especially if they can get it the Western side to play it as well. Obviously, the reason Global Raze failed was just mismanagement and some poor decisions. I feel like if they just did 1-for-1 with the Japanese version, I feel like the Global Raze would have lasted a lot longer than it did. Maybe not the entire 7.5 years, but it definitely would have lasted longer than it did. But either way, that's pretty much it. So obviously, I'll still make Tales videos. If that Xillia remaster is real, I'll obviously make a video on it. Obviously, I'm not going to do another Xillia playthrough if it is real, because I already have one on the channel. There's not really going to be a difference between the two, other than slightly, you know, better visuals. So I don't see a point in doing another playthrough. But other than that, hopefully we can be back to be excited about some more Tales news in the near future. And I'll definitely still make some Tales videos on the channel, you know, every so often, whenever there's something to make videos about. And of course, whenever there is a brand new Tales game, likely within the next year, year and a half, I will, of course, do a playthrough of that on the channel. But for now, I guess this is goodbye to Tales of the Raze. I might still make some Raze videos here and there. Maybe I'll do a video, you know, videos doing the tower. Maybe I'll do some videos in the dojo. But for the most part, I think this is pretty much the end of our road, which I pretty much started this channel, not specifically, my first video on the channel isn't Tales related, but very early into this channel's existence, I started making videos on global Tales of the Raze, so this is kind of the end of an era, and it is kind of sad to see, but thank you all for watching. I hope everyone has enjoyed the 7 years of Tales of the Raze on the channel, and hopefully there's going to be more Tales goodness to come that we can keep being excited about and look forward to. So that's going to be it, guys. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day, everyone.